Okay, so namaste, everybody. And however you are, wherever you are, whatever condition or state your mental activity is, or your mind, if you're feeling agitated, whiny, argumentative, if you're feeling great, like fabulous, just everything's aligning for you right now, whatever it is, I'm glad that you're here. And hopefully we'll just achieve a more state of equanimity for you if you're feeling that already. And if you're not, then hopefully we can bring that into a closer place toward equanimity. So remember, everything I say is a suggestion. You need to listen to your body first, and it comes across, right, as a sensory language. So we sometimes can confuse some of the patterns in our mind that are repeated a lot. And just pay attention to that. Just pay close attention. That's all you have to do, is just be paying attention on purpose so that you can start to discern the difference between what feels and sounds like a should coming from the mind and what's actual viable information coming from your body, sensory information that's coming from your body and informing you from a deeper place, saying, yeah, more of that, or no, I'm going to back off a little bit, maybe take a pause and rest. So let's start in a seat, a comfortable seat. If you need to use a bolster to find that comfortable seat by lifting the hips a little bit, even if you're at home and you have a comfy chair you want to sit in, just sit on the edge of it so that you're not slouching down. So however you're taking your seat, your spine, you want it to be nice and upright. This just allows for optimal flow of energy and starts to bring us into a relaxed state of awareness. So relax the whole face, relax the jaw, any clenching, let the tongue relax down. Swallow if you need to, if you feel tension in the throat. Relax the tops of the shoulders away from the ears, feeling the crown of the head continue to flow upward. And you want to feel upright in the spine, but still like you're still softening. So it doesn't have to feel so rigid. So that means you have to kind of rock forward and back on your sits bones, letting your spine move a little bit or side to side till you find that soft place and still feel upright and supported. So really to just feel supported. Knees relax. But then we keep our mind aware. It's going to play our active observer role, just watching and witnessing everything that arises without judgment, without trying to make some sort of decision or categorizing or pushing or pulling. Just watching as objectively as you're able to. And then begin to feel the breath, resisting any patterns of pushing and pulling air through the body. Instead, just allow the breath to wash in through the nostrils and release. So in each of your postures, if you're kind of going for this current state, this condition where the spine feels long, like there's space between each vertebrae, it will allow for the breath to flow. So you're still being supported and keeping the spine safe, but there's also that softness from the inside out where it's done in a relaxed state instead of a forced state that feels like it creates tension in certain muscles or over contracting even sometimes. You want it to feel like balanced action. My body knows what to do. The muscles that need to come online know their role for each movement. It knows what to do to support my spine in a seat. As long as I kind of get out of the way just enough to not overexert, but also not to just completely check out and go away. So set the group intention for everybody that you're able to stay inside as you hear the cues and as I guide you through the practice so that you can feel your way through the poses. If you have a separate intention or an additional intention for yourself, you can set that now. So we'll just let our arms relax down next to the hips. Hands kind of might hover, depending how long they are. Your arms are, fingers, tips might just graze. Let your arms just hang down from the shoulders, relaxing, fingertips or hands releasing to the floor. And then I want you to start to slowly sweep your arms up. You can turn the palms toward the sky, but slowly so that it's just enough effort to move the arms floating up overhead, extending them. But there's nothing that's like burning or contracting or squeezing or no tension. And then slowly turn the palms away and float the arms down again, so that it's smooth and there's no one muscle over contracting or over stretching. So do that a couple more times because then right away you can tap into what I'm talking about, that the muscles of the body, they know what to do to move the arms overhead and to bring them back down to the sides. Sometimes when we get in our own way of saying like, oh, the mind says I need to feel this huge stretch or like I need to strengthen my upper body, it can kind of get in the way of our movement, what it is that we're really trying to go for in yoga, which is a state of equanimity. Really, it's balance. Do that one more time. And so you can feel that right here. I can move my arms and there's completely free to move up overhead and down, and nothing is feeling like tense in order to do that. Now, about the fourth repetition, they might feel a little bit of tiring in the muscles. You could always rest. And we're going to side bend over. Just pick a side, plant that hand, sweep the opposite arm up, and do the same thing. And just flow side to side, feeling what I like to call right effort in your body. And after you repeat the movement a few times, there kind of naturally becomes a lengthening and a stretching in the soft tissues of the body. They loosen up, you become warm, and you can kind of naturally get a little deeper in the expression. Do each side one more time. So you've done them both the same amount of time. So do your first side one more time, second side one more time. And just keep it smooth. I have to go pretty slow when I first start with a movement. Maybe you don't, but pay attention. Come back to center. Place the hands on the thighs, and we'll just start to kind of circle one direction. And Don't feel like you have to be so rigid with your shoulders or your spine. It can kind of snake. The shoulders can sort of figure eight, and you can start to incorporate some other movements and then switching directions. Just move in all the planes, right? We're not the Simpsons. We're not two-dimensional beings. So move in all the planes that are available to you. Coming back to center. And sweep the arms behind you, follow with the gaze, and then forward fold at the hips, sweep them like you're sweeping them along the floor, and then come up and back behind you again to just add a nice rotation in the spine and some hip flexion. So we're kind of warming up in our hips at the same time. Nothing has to be a huge stretch. One more time to the first side and one more time to the second side. Come back to center. Bring your hands to your heart in prayer. Press the hands out in front of you. Press the shoulder blades away from the spine and look down between the arms. So just a gentle rounding in the upper back. Just hold here. Change the position of the hands. Sometimes if I just put my finger pads together and do like this little diamond namaste thing and gently push my finger pads together, I can just get a little bit more connection to all the lines of energy. My shoulder blades come apart from the spine, a little more balanced. You can give that a try. And then open the arms like you're spreading your wings. Lift the face to the warmth of the sun. So just ever so slightly look up. Draw the shoulder blades together. Feel the sits bones just relaxing down and kind of behind you a little bit. Just to feel a little back bend there in the lower spine as the top of the sacrum kind of nestles toward the lumbar. And then again, bring the hands back together, nice and slow. Shoulder blades, they come away from the spine. The tops of the shoulders stay out of the ears. And you can gaze down, just feeling gentle lengthening across the back, the upper back, the back of the neck. But you don't need to force anything here. One more time, open up the arms, spread your wings. Lift the face slightly if you want. Relax the sits bones down. Let the arms come down at the sides next to the hips again. Sitting tall. Enjoy a few breaths here. Just notice if it's even like slightly easier to sit up tall. And then we'll come onto our backs. Move my props to the side, but maybe keep a blanket close by for knees. Cushion here in a little bit. Plant your feet, arms out in a T. Let's start with feet wide and just some easy windshield wipers, side to side. Notice if there's a tendency to go for huge feelings of stretch right out of the gate. Remember, we're going for right effort and balanced action. So instead, try to just resist that inclination, that pattern in the mind that we kind of get in that groove and we just follow, and gradually get to the deeper positioning, the knees getting a little closer to the ground with each rep, and feel the difference. And then you can always, at least you give it a try, you pay attention to the effect that each path or way of doing things has, and then you can discern which one is right for you in the moment. One more time to first side, one more time to second side. Come back up with knees to the center. Float the knees up over the hips. So the backs of the knees are at a 90-degree angle. And start to slowly take your knees over to your left and let them release to the ground. If that means the shoulder blade on the opposite side has to come up, allow it to do so. Because I don't want you, again, we don't want you to have to force yourself into some twist the body is maybe not ready for. And it doesn't mean like forever, maybe just right now. And then that opposite arm, the one that's like on the side that's away from the knee. So if your knees are pointing left, it's going to be your right arm. If your knees are pointing right, it's going to be your left arm. Start to leave it on the floor and snow angel it up above the head. Keep as much of the arm in contact with the floor as you can. If it has to come up a little bit, that's fine. My right arm does because got a little shoulder impingement going on. So I'm going to be kind. And your gaze is up at the ceiling. Then you're going to slide it back down to be in line with the shoulder and follow your gaze over, like you're following your gaze out over that middle finger. So now I'm looking over that way. Now sweep the arm up and take the gaze up to the ceiling and sweep the arm back down to a T and follow the hand with your gaze. So just move in and out like that a couple more times. And again, if you're having an issue with your shoulder too, I'm just kind of going actually on this side, just bringing my arm into a cactus position and still following with my gaze because I'm still getting plenty of love for the back of my neck doing that, offering that range of motion there. Even if my shoulder doesn't want to do it on this side, it's fine. And then come back to arm at T, gaze at center. And very slowly pick up your top knee first and start to bring it up toward the ceiling, and then let the bottom knee follow, just so we're easy on the lower spine coming out. Rock side to side a couple times. Massage on either side of the sacrum, and then very slowly let your knees release to the other side, keeping them in line with the hips, or if they need to move closer or farther away from the face, that's fine. If this shoulder on the opposite side needs to come up, that's also fine. So gaze is up. Snow angel this arm along the ground overhead. Gaze up. Then snow angel it back to T and follow it with your gaze. Just doing that a few times. So this one, I'm just not keeping my whole arm on the floor because I have to allow my shoulder to come up in order for my knees to get all the way to the ground. So that's fine too. I at least don't have to bend my elbow on this side, right? So different sides, different expressions. Remember, we're all meeting ourselves wherever we are. One more time. Snow angel the arm up, gaze up, and last time, sweep it back down. Follow with the gaze, then bring the gaze to center. Lift the top knee first toward the, so knee pointing at the ceiling. Then let that second knee follow, bringing both knees up to center, and just gently rock side to side. Place one hand on the respective knee, so right hand, right knee, left hand, left knee, and just use the hands to circle the knees, make little alternating circles, and that naturally kind of makes my hips rock side to side, but you could make it as small or as big as you want, and then switch directions. Wait, I don't know if I actually switched directions with that other knee. And if your head wants to kind of rock side to side too, that's fine. And bring your knees to the outside of your body. And now if you want to kind of use your hands to leverage the knees toward the floor a little bit, you can. Just do that really smooth and slow so that when you get that feeling of stretch, it doesn't feel like tension. It's like a natural lengthening through the muscle. And if you want, point the soles of the feet up to the ceiling, hands at the backs of the thighs, just kind of holding them there where it's comfortable, where it feels supported in the hip flexion, this deep hip flexion. And you can always take the hands up and hold the pinky sides of the feet or the big toes too, or just leave them on the backs of the thighs. It's up to you. And bring the soles of the feet together. If you want to use your hands at the calves or the ankles, the shins or the ankles, you can. If you want to hold them there, you can. Or hands can be here. And just hold here in Supta Baddha Konasana for a few breaths. Let that breath just continue to flow, smooth and even. And you can circle the ankles if you want. Bring the knees slowly back toward each other. And then we're gonna rock and roll to a seat and back a few times. And we'll alternate straightening one leg when you come up and bending the other. So like this, I'll show you here before I do it. So I'm gonna rock and roll just like this, maybe once or twice. And then I'm gonna play when I come up with straightening one leg and keeping the other one bent. And then I'll rock back again. And I'll switch. Straighten this leg and bend the other one. So you can kind of experiment and just try to make it as smooth as you can. Maybe the first one or two feels kind of clunky. That's okay. And then after that, you can kind of try to smooth it out. And then we'll meet here in our seat in Dandasana. Toes in the general direction of pointing up. If pulling them too hard kind of makes your knees hyperextend, maybe relax that effort a little bit. And you can always use the hands at the hips and push them into the earth to help you sit up, hold the weight of the upper body in that upright position if you need. If your arms are long like mine, go ahead, bend the elbows and just squeeze them toward each other behind you, let your allowing the shoulders to relax. Good. Then we'll bend into our knees, lean to one side, sweep your feet over to the other, bending in the knees. Make your way to table or hands and knees. Blanket if you need. And just start to snake the spine here. So from the pelvic bowl, hips beginning to rock side to side, and then letting the rest of the spine sort of snake up and then back down. And as you do this, you can start to pick up your hands one at a time and set them back down till you find that place that feels really supportive. Coming to center and sit your hips back towards your heels about part way, and then slowly rise back up. Do that again, sitting back part way. Feel like you're using some of that momentum. So in that moment where you transition from moving backward to forward, it's really still smooth so that the transition's almost seamless. Just like that pendulum on a clock swinging side to side, you know it switched directions, but it just does it really effortlessly because it's smooth. And then if you want, you can sit all the way back into your child's pose. If you still just want to go part way, then release the hands forward. It just positions the body a little differently. Some people's knees don't allow for such deep flexion, so that's one reason to take the option, but it does also change where you feel the pose. It can change how supported you feel in the pose. So give yourself permission to color outside the lines a little bit from maybe what you've been told, or maybe sometimes it's just like without realizing it, what we've told ourselves. And then we'll rise up again, hands and knees. So hands can slide back, coming forward again to your supportive base. And then curl your toes under and send your hips back and up into downward dog. And if you want to release the knees and do that again and take your transition a couple times, it's just a way to kind of fundamentally break down the mechanics of the pose for the body so it can feel its way in. And you can pedal the feet and wiggle around. And then we'll all walk our hands like maybe a half step forward. You can always bring them back if this doesn't work for you. But I want to do swinging plank. So we move from plank to down dog. So take a little longer down dog stance and just kind of come forward into plank, pause, and smoothly transition back, right? I want that transition to feel seamless. Moving forward and back aren't two different directions. It's just one smooth movement. Adjust hands and feet when you feel like you get that feedback, that input from the body. It deserves your attention and your regard. One more plank and back to down dog. Working with that smooth transition. And then we can come knees down again and smooth transition to down dog. So just smoothing out all those little rough edges and clunky transitions. It's okay if it feels clunky the first time, but it'll kind of always feel that way if we don't ever try to explore moving in a less mechanical way. So this time when you're ready, I want you to do all three of those smooth transitions. You'll go rise to hands and knees, downward facing dog, plank, downward facing dog. As you're ready, really smooth on your own. We meet in downward dog. And then we'll sweep our left leg up. I'm going to kind of reach it back and then sweep it up. I'm going to paint a rainbow behind me and then up. Then bring the knee forward. Bend that opposite knee if you need to, so it feels more springy. Then do that again. Reach it back, paint that rainbow from the floor up. Bend that opposite knee, bring that left knee forward and into the chest. Smooth last time. And then this time, let's go ahead and step that foot forward. Let the back knee come down and rock back to a hamstring stretch and rock forward. Yes, I love it. Susan's in the studio and she said, when I said hamstring stretch, she said, yes. It's so good when you have something like that you're like looking forward to. That's what you'll hear your body say, right? When you're trying to discern, should I do this variation or this one? You'll actually hear it on your inside say, yes. And then you can come forward when you're ready into your next lunge and smoothly sweep the arms up and bring them back to cactus, just opening across the heart space. Reach forward, lean forward in the hips, scoop up some air. Do it again. Smoothly sweep the arms up and then open to cactus. You can do one more. I don't know why. Why are things in threes? Why is it always in threes? Well, I feel like when you do that third time. And then hands down. I guess there really is something, third time's a charm. And step back. You can go right back to down dog, or you can go to table and then down dog. Just try to be seamless in that transition. Try to smooth out the clunky edges. We'll do the right foot. So again, bend in the left knee a little bit. Drag the right foot behind on the floor so you can get that big rainbow from the floor up. Then bend the left knee, bend the right knee, bring it in. Feel nice and light, springy. 3 times again on this side, because we did 3 times on the first side. And then you can step the foot forward, let the back knee come down and rock into that hamstring stretch. Back and forth. I had to fix my pants after all that. Not really kind of keeping track here on the reps. When you feel like you're ready, the next time you come forward into the lunge, sweep those arms up like you're scooping up that air. Inviting it in, let the arms float back to cactus. You can pause if you want, and then repeat. Lean, hinge forward, scooping up all that energy, opening to it, letting it sort of rain down through your arms. And then again, leaning forward, scooping up that air, letting it fall back down over you, and release the hands back to table down dog or straight back to down dog. Take a longer down dog stance. And let's swing the down dog to plank. Swingy and springy. So it's kind of like hammock, back and forth. And we'll meet in child's pose. Smooth through your transition. Or devotional, right? It's another term for this one, which I kind of like, because I like the energy that can bring. If you think about it being devotional pose, sort of lowering your mind down to the wisdom of the body. And then rise up again, table smooth to down dog. And this time I'm going to have us swing our knees forward for Ekapada Kapotasana. We'll start with the left leg again, and again painting that little rainbow down along the ground, then up the wall into the ceiling. Then bringing the knee forward and setting it down between the hands, wherever you can make it. Then you plop this back foot down, and you just pick up the knee, and you can scoot back one little like inchworm at a time to the stretch here for this hip that you're wanting. So do your best to keep your hips level or side by side. Sometimes people will kind of rock over to one side or the other, but try to keep them level and adjust the foot instead, the front foot, either away from the body or closer to the midline of the body to achieve the stretch. And again, then scoot this leg back. I want you to just to bend in your elbows like we're kind of doing a chaturanga push-up here. So hug and let the elbows scrape along the side, shoulders relax out of the ears, and then like come up and sort of spring up for just a moment. I went really slow that first time. So now as you repeat it, you have the use of momentum on your side to keep the movement smooth And like you're just coming up into the back bend expression for a brief moment, lengthening like you're floating, and then setting back down and getting some upper body warming up too through the arms of just lowering part of your body weight. One more time. And then you can finally take the forward bend. So everybody's arms will be different depending how far you can go with the head to the floor. So here's kind of option one. Option two is hands in prayer and thumbs can place at the third eye chakra. If you want to be able to rest the head a little bit, if you can go deeper into the stretch, you could stack your fists, get a little closer. You can stack your hands, get a little closer. You can lower your forehead if that's available to you. So when you come out, slide your hands back again and try to take that springy kind of pressing up slowly and smoothly. So there's like a lightness there as you come up, and curl your back toes under, lift the back leg, adjust if you need. So if you have to kind of scoot forward again to give yourself more space to go straight back to down dog, you can, or you just go through table. When we do the right leg, sweeping along the floor, then up the sidewall into the ceiling with the rainbow, then bend in the left knee, bring that right knee in, set it down, and just press into the top of the back foot, inching the knee back, keeping the hips square side, but so nice and level, not hopping over to one side. Shoulders relaxed out of the ears. You can pick up the hands and set them down to find that placement, to scrape the elbows along the sides, lowering down. Slowly come up and just kind of spring up if you want with the hands, just letting them come away for that brief moment, feeling the core musculature all along the spine support you for just that brief moment in time as you release the hands from the floor. And then you can make your way into your hip stretch here. Sliding to the forearms now. Taking any of the available options to you. Good. Anytime you can, make these little adjustments, shift when you feel like tension's coming into the body. That is input, information from the body, trying to communicate something. And you discern, does it need to be addressed? And how am I going to address it? And slide up onto the hands again. Feeling that rising up, curling the back toes under. And if you think about just stepping back and it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to have to like really force, that's when you can just adjust, because remember, you scooted that leg all the way back. So it might warrant coming back forward again for the space and adjusting before you go back to the table or downward dog. One more breath here in down dog. Then lower your knees down. Bring your legs toward the screen and have a seat so that you can see me. If you guys are here, it's fine. You can stay on your mat or you can face me. Sitting up again in Dandasana and just see if you notice a difference for that first one. So again, toes pointing up, but you want to feel like the backs of the knees are still soft. And then pick up the back of your right knee and set the foot down on the inside of the thigh, just where it's comfortable, where you still feel like, place that foot where you're still able to sit up tall. So if you have it in so close that you're hunching, might need to scoot it forward or keep hip width distance or even wider than the hips for space. Yeah, so we're gonna do a rotation here. Let's sweep our left arm back behind us and open up our twist. And then we'll bring it forward and over to that knee, placing the elbow there for a moment. And just do that a couple more times. Sweep open, working to just keep the spine as tall as you can, adjusting the foot if you need. And then you can hold in that twist, elbow on that knee, or mine's my forearm, and then backhand comes behind you for support. That will also help you to stay tall. And then, of course, you can do different things with your arms, right? Everybody might kind of have their favorite positioning with the arm. Eventually, the neck might be able to look over that back shoulder to deepen the twist in the upper part of the spine. And then coming forward, legs straighten, left knee, picking it up, setting the foot down. Good. Place your hand here on the knee and then sweep the opposite arm back, opening up the twist and then closing it, bringing the elbow toward the knee. Just pause for a moment and then transition back to the open twist, right? Because then I'm like, okay, I might be getting some information. Maybe I need to change my foot. Then you can hold, take the left hand back behind you for support, sit up tall before you try to take the gaze maybe, so that the back of the neck is relaxed as you do that, allowing you for more range. Yeah. Consider these arms as holding you, right? So they just feel like they're supporting the pose instead of leveraging or torquing into the pose deeper. And then come back to center, take the legs out in front, wiggle them out. We'll do that again. So pick up right knee, set the foot down. Do the same position with the legs if you want, or I'll offer a second variation. You can bend this opposite knee and tuck that foot underneath. So it's just gonna make it feel a little different in the hips, maybe. We'll see. So opposite arm is gonna sweep back again. We'll open our twist, and then we'll flow into the closed twist. 2-3 times till you find your expression. Allow for any adjustments in the foundation of the pose that need to occur, and then taking your final expression to hold. If you can breathe there, you can be there. Come back to center and we'll straighten both legs. So the bottom one comes out first, then straighten. Good. And other side, pick up the left knee, plant the foot, staying here or taking the different expression with that foot coming underneath on the right leg. Yep. And we'll sweep and open our twist and then close a few times, 2, 3 times maybe. Maybe you need more, maybe you need less. And then find your twist, hands there to offer support, to stay nice and tall so that it feels, again, like there's space between each one of your spinal vertebrae as you twist. Then you can feel like all that energy being able to still pass through. So it's like that double helix ladder, all that blood flow and energy being able to still flow even though your spine is shaped like a spiral staircase. And coming back to center. Bottom leg comes out first and leg straighten. Sit up tall in Dandasana. So we'll take Shavasana and I'll give you the option to do legs up the wall for your Shavasana if you want. And maybe you just like to do legs up the wall for like a few minutes and you can do legs up the wall and then transition to Shavasana, right? I don't think you're not really going to disturb anybody, especially if you're at home. If you're here in the studio, the group I think we have here knows like everybody's in their own little world, man. I'm pretty good at staying there at this point. I'm going to dim one set of lights for the people here. Legs up the wall is kind of one of those poses when you don't have like a lot of time for practice. It just has so many benefits physically and then even with like my mind, when my mind is, well, there you go, Kayla, when your mind's very bossy, being very bossy. So keep it in mind during these times when it's like, when nothing really is for certain, it's just day to day, right? Something different every day. Keep it in mind. You can, it's a stop, drop in yoga. You don't have to be warmed up or anything like that. You can just do it. If you work in an office, I know a lot of people are still working from home, but if you do work in an office, just take a mat up there that you can leave. And if you have a private space, you can literally just 2 to 5 minutes. Legs up the wall, or you could just do legs up your office chair. Just feel the body releasing to the floor. And again, if you're really dropped into your body and trying to pay attention to the feedback, input that you're getting, that sensory level from your body, if you've been working throughout your practice and you're hopefully should be feeling pretty skilled at this point at discerning between what the body's telling you and what your mind is trying to decide. And if you're really paying attention to the body when you take this final pose of Shavasana, after that movement and exploration and breathing, it wants to release into this posture. It knows that it does really need this time to integrate everything. opened up things on a physical level, but the subtle body also begins to open up in our practice. And so being still for a time at the end of that exploration really is a necessity. So just release into that natural feeling, that longing that the body has to be still. Gives the mind even a chance to soften back into the background. Just release. For the thought waves to become calm. Mimic the body in stillness. The breath even becomes so still that it's almost like undetectable, except that you can feel the energetics of it still flowing through the body, bringing in nourishment, taking care of tension, just expanding and releasing as though it's all one seamless experience. As you slowly begin to bring your awareness back to this physical space, you can imagine the outline of your physical body and start to kind of just feel the edges of your body. So there is that beginning of distinguishing again the experience of the edges, your physical body, and yet you still have part of your awareness inside in that space where everything was kind of just one continuous experience. See if you're able to start to wiggle the fingers and the toes now, keeping part of your awareness in that vast space and still able to connect to the distinguishing characteristics of your body and this space, and wiggle your toes. Experiment and allow yourself to start to see yourself and the world around you and the space within you all at the same time, like simultaneously, right? It isn't just this, that, or I only go there when I'm on my mat practicing yoga. I only even think about that vast space. Try to be doing both at the same time. As you rise up to your seat, making your way to one side first and slowly coming up again, take the pace and the smoothness of movement that it requires to stay connected. Bringing your hands to your heart in prayer if you'd like. Making that intention, even just that wish for yourself to be able to engage with the people in your lives, your activities, daily situations from a more connected space like where we are right now, to see those things in the world through this lens every single moment. Thank you for sharing your practice and lending your energy to everybody else that has joined us this evening. We end class with a simple blessing of peace. If you'd like to join me, it's Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om is the universal sound. Shanti means peace in Sanskrit. Thank you for being here this evening. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And sign up for Thursday night if you'd like. This is the first Flow to Grow Shakti. It's restorative. So there'll be time for restorative pose at the end and long Shavasana. They're 90 minutes. So still have spaces in the studio. Virtual, of course, isn't like unlimited. So thank you. I like how dark everybody got their space at home.